A QEP is a really unique thing that we get to do as part of our reaffirmation process with the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools. And what's so exciting about this QEP is that we are going to have a new capstone course, IDS 2891, which will be called Creative Capstone. And our Gen Ed competencies spell out creative. There's an acronym in them. So this is really about an opportunity to reflect on the Gen Ed program, for students to conduct an independent research project with faculty mentorship, as well as an embedded librarian.
So the QEP is going to help students develop their research skills, it's going to help with their information literacy, and it's also going to help them make connections between the different courses that they've already taken in the general education curriculum.
I think it's a way of connecting us all, faculty and students.
So that's how I look at it, as kind of a global plan to how we can be better.
Better approaches to getting students engaged. That's what I learned the most.
It transformed the way I teach.
There's a lot of times where you could have an audience that's from a specific field, but you could have an audience that's from a wide variety of fields. So the most important thing for the students to do there is to really understand the fundamentals of what it is that they are trying to explain.
Communication, regardless of the scenario, the situation, the dynamic, is probably one of the most important and probably underestimated skill we can have as just being a human being, right? If you have strong communication skills, you can be dropped into any situation and be successful.
Communication enables us to understand and be understood, as well as build connections. And it also enables us to create change and growth within ourselves as individuals, within our relationships, and within the world at large.
It's one of those skills that's completely transferable to any dynamic that you're looking at.
We know that there's a big problem in society today with critical thinking and information literacy. We think research skills are important for students' information literacy, but also just for their everyday life moving forward. I mean, students need to be able to research so that they buy the best car for the best price, so they get a good mortgage. I mean, research skills are life skills, they're not just academic skills.
When students conduct research, and then also maybe even just use research within like a research paper or even a discussion question, it's forcing them to apply critical thinking skills.
And particularly at this time in our life as a country and as a peoples, I think it's important to have students who are able to express themselves and their point of view to multiple audiences at a time in which communication seems to be very parochial.
Research doesn't stop when you leave school. You know, they're doing research and they don't even realize it. If they're looking for, you know, movie times, or they're looking to see if a movie is, you know, good, what does it say on Rotten Tomatoes about this movie? They're doing research. They're just doing research in a different kind of way. So we want them to recognize all the ways that they're doing research already, and how they can take some of those skills that they already have and apply them not only to their academics, but then when they go into their career, the kind of things that they're going to need to look up to be able to be successful as they leave us at FSW.
Applying concepts, synthesizing information, and really important, I think almost more important, is the dispositions, which is cultivating open-mindedness and bias awareness.
Research is everything. You know, we live in a world where lots of things can look very official online. You have to be able to really look at where this research based its information on. Is it, you know, empirical evidence created by this website? Who owns the website? Who funds that website? You have to be able to dig deeper and know where that research is coming from, be able to understand it, and be able to compare it to opposing research, and know that sometimes there's not always capital T truth. You have to look at several sources and find where there's a likely range of accuracy.
What's in the way? No, that's all algae. One of the ways to do that is really to try to get them to talk in a creative way, a way that they've been trained, kind of in liberal arts fashion. I paired science with creative writing with a colleague of mine because we found that they had students had a better way of talking about science when they could do it in their own words. When they could do it in their own terms, in common language, they had much better success.
Building on the ways of thinking that students already know, and say, you already know this, now let's apply it in a different, utterly new context. And so that's what I think that the transdisciplinary focus, especially in the humanities, use what you've got already and apply it in new situations.
There's so many things that someone in another discipline can teach me, and then there's so many things that I can teach them. So it's important that we can work together and unite to actually look at different methods and different ideas of how to solve a similar problem.
So I think it's really important for students to see how multiple faculty will approach a problem. You know, we've really seen in the last year how important it is for us to all come together and work towards common solutions.
Because you enjoy the, team teaching. Do the students enjoy it too, you think?
The best experiences with my students I've ever had. You have 3 people creating more energy in the classroom and more energy of scholarship. And also just the whole idea of what it means to teach is to share. Gen Ed, not to say the same old thing again, but it is truly the foundation of an educated person.
It makes us more well-rounded. It makes us more knowledgeable, and we're better able to make insightful connections and navigate skillfully throughout our life.
If a student is completing their education with an AA degree, they will have at least had exposure to other ways of thinking. But it is also important to have thought in ways that are different from your area of specialty.
The kind of courses that are general education are going to provide that basis. And that, again, expose students to a multitude of different disciplines as a required part of the process of them starting to narrow their own sort of goals for their own education and future for themselves as a professional and for their families as well.
It's something that, when you can apply your knowledge that you learned in the classroom and do something with it, that's when it really becomes part of them. And I think that's the part of the education where they're happiest.
I think that learning without reflection runs the risk of being forgotten or not as deeply learned. So I think reflection on everything is important, whether it be learning, experience, and it's also important because it can show you growth.
If they don't get an opportunity to reflect, they're not going to see the big picture. But reflection also allows them to see the applicability of what they're learning in the classroom to their own lives, not just in the present, but also moving forward into their futures.
The QEP for us is really about access and opportunity. So our students are amazing, and they should have the same experiences here at FSW that they would have had if they went to USF or FGCU or UF. And part of that is about access to faculty, access to resources, access to faculty librarians, access to field trips, to learning, to study abroad. We really have an amazing faculty here at the college and so many incredible scholars and researchers, and they have so much to offer our students, not just in the courses that they teach, but across the board. And that's what we're really trying to do. We're trying to empower our students to become curious, to become knowledge seekers, to become lifelong learners, not just while they're in college, but throughout their lives. And that's something that our faculty really have to offer. They're outstanding, and I really can't wait for our students to have access to more of them and to this course where you can really take ownership of a project and make it your own.